Hello everybody and welcome back to G for G, Games for Gamers. Tonight we are going to take a look at the newest hero here in Marvel Avengers Alliance. She is the Queen of Hair, not to be confused with the Queen of Blades, although her hair is rather bladish, according to the description. It is Medusa. No, not the one who will stare you to stone, but Medusa, Queen of the Inhumans, sharing the name with one of the most famous Gorgons in history. So let's go ahead and take a look at her and discuss who she can team up well with. So here she is on the last page. She was available for 90 CP. She is an infiltrator. Now, infiltrators tend to come in two varieties, at least this is what I feel. There are the strong infiltrators that actually have some decent combat prowess. Then there are the buffers, or the support infiltrators. That's kind of like what they used to call shaman back in Vanilla WoW, Vanilla World of Warcraft. They weren't necessarily the greatest healers, they weren't the greatest DPS, they were there for support. They dropped totems, they healed a little bit, they added damage, they gave damage to the party, they were bloodlust. Medusa is actually what I feel not one of those supporting infiltrators. She's a peppy, strong infiltrator. An example of somebody who exists in the game already that I feel is like that is Spiral. When she came out of the gate and I got her, even her level 1 blew me away. I was like, wow, look at all these crits. She crits all the time. She crit Hybrid, who was supposed to be uncrittable. Kitty Pryde is also very, very strong. Her PvP heyday's kind of gone, but you don't want to mess with a alt suit Kitty Pryde, especially when she's pretty buffed and has combat reflexes going on. She's strong. Now, a more supportive infiltrator would be some of our newer ones like Falcon. Falcon I don't consider to be strong, but he's pretty buffy. He supports the team. Star-Lord really supports the team, but deals in a lot of buffs, but isn't really going to like, oh my god, he's on the battlefield, he's gonna kill. Hogun, I consider him a scrapper. Fandral, again, weakish infiltrator. He does lots of interesting and good things, but he's not really gonna scare you to death. Well, Medusa, I think, really has that chance to scare you to death. She is pretty strong. Tigra is often overlooked as a good infiltrator, but she is another one who I consider very strong. And of course, what can we say about Psylocke, Queen of the Quick Locks? But I now have her as a tactician. So, anyway, back over to Gem, for she is truly outrageous with her stockings and her hips that literally, her legs slide up her hips over here. Decent looking sprite and pretty cool hair, which is everything that she is about. So let's look at her passives. Note that green, we're going to come back to this green. Hair raising, chance to reduce the damage of incoming attacks. Increased chance on attackers affected by tied up. She procs this a lot. Queen of the Inhumans. All allies, everybody, gains Inhuman Majesty, increasing all stats, and grants Inhuman allies immunity to opportunistic debuffs. So, currently, that is Thane, that is Blackbolt, and that will eventually be Karnak, who's coming up soon. So, we're paving the way for another Inhuman. We really have some very nice groups that have been going on lately. We weren't dealing with groups for a while. Once you got out of the Future Foundation, nobody was really grouped for a bit. Yeah, there was the Four Horsemen, but they didn't have synergy, really. Then, all of a sudden, blammo, the Warriors 3, we got the Uncanny X-Men, then we started getting the Guardians of the Galaxy, and now we're getting the Inhuman. So we're getting a lot of very nice groups coming up. So let's take a look at her oh yes, the greens. Yes, forgot about that. The green is because that is her own little personal morale boost in action over there. So she has her base stats, and she gets bonuses. Now, if you compare to Cannonball, who have not ISO'd, this is a raw toon. Groot, haven't ISO'd him yet, that's a raw toon. But then you look at Medusa, that's a raw toon with buffs. So, her actions: level 1, splitting hairs, deadly crit, and it exploits stuns. More on that in a moment, keep that in the back of your head. One enemy tied up. This is a slashing ranged attack, mild amount of damage, but really boosted nicely by deadly crits. Tied up says most attacks are intercepted by Medusa. Now, there's been some questions. What is this interception that's happening? Essentially, it's jump-in tanking, but it's pinpoint jump-in tanking. You know how Luke Cage tanks, but then he tanks and retaliates to people who have combo set up? Well, it's kind of like that for Modern Medusa. She doesn't jump in on anybody. She jumps in on people who are tied up. So, you might think, oh wow, that seems dangerous. She's an infiltrator. Yes, but she is a sturdy infiltrator. Headbang at level 2. It's slashing, it's ranged. I whip my hair back and forth. Like, yeah. It causes subdue. Has no cooldown, 3 hits. So it causes subdue and it causes winded. So right now she's shut down her opposite on the rock, paper, scissors side. She has now shut down a scrapper, which is really, really nice. And subdue says melee attacks do 40% less damage and cannot crit. It counts as impaired. It will be cancelled, aka replaced, by a full-on legit impaired or restrain. Well, what the hell is restrain? Restrain is her level 6, Rockin' Locks. This is again one enemy, 3 hits, ranged. The slashing has dropped off, so now this is just ranged. Ranged attacks do 40% less damage, cannot crit. It counts as impaired, cancelled, or replaced by impaired or subdue. So, if you have somebody who is capable of doing both, let's say ranged, trick shot, quantum leap, there it is, melee ranged gun, you have to pick your poison. But if you're dealing with, say, a Quicksilver, a Groot, you know, a Drax, it's going to be one or the other. There are some people who are capable of doing both, like Omega Sentinel down here, which is why my Medusa is not a level 2. I had no idea she was coming today. My training slots were unfortunately filled up. Bad Hair Day at level 9. It has a starting cooldown of 2 rounds. It's slashing ranged, all enemies, weak top end damage, no multiple hits, but guaranteed to hit, true strike, everybody's tied up, everybody's mangled like Gomorrah, and everybody is constricted. The next attack will be a guaranteed crit. So we have a lot of people who do constricted, and unfortunately, she doesn't gain any synergy off of constricted. So there goes the Spider-Man and Anti-Venom and Constrictor team-ups. Yeah, Constrictor team-ups. That'll be the day. But who does she team up well with? Well, remember Exploit Stun? And remember Rockin' Locks with Incapacitation? Well, let's go all the way back in time to Cyclops, Mega Optic Blast. 60% chance of everybody being incapacitated. Neat. My favorite thinking team up over here, there's little Miss Kitty Pryde and her peppy self. Dun dun dun. Skrin, She-Hulk. Oh, hey, look, Motion Granite, Incapacitation, and exploits stuns. Honestly, Skrin and this chick, Medusa, may be a really, really strong team-up. They even have Tossers, Suffragettes, and Future Foundation. Wow, Medusa's introduced a lot of new team-ups, by the way. So, here's my Skrin. She's ready to be 13. I have a lot of high priority training to do. Yeah, there was no incapacitation there. Well, there's Cower. but that doesn't really count. So you've got, honestly, I think Skrin is one of the bigger team-ups over there. You have Stuns in Magneto, you have Stuns in Gizmo Sandwich. I wonder if does this count as an incapacitation when it's a buggy? I don't know. Not too sure on that one. So, honestly, Skrin could be one of the stronger team-ups. However, Blackbolt is one of the stronger team-ups also. Thane, not too sure. If his level 1 Amber counts as a stun, possibly. We all know there's a bug with Amber, and that is if you hit somebody who is stun immune, Amber doesn't take effect, which I think is a fat load of shit. Obviously, at the 3rd level, it is a stun, but you still have the exhaustion, and you still have the anti-counterattacks, anti-follow-ups, anti-protects. If Amber counts, it could be nice, but really, where she stands out is going to be Blackbolt, and I think Skrin. Iceman, I always want to believe he caused an incapacitation, but I don't think he honestly does. Yeah, no. Is it going to be Cold Snap? No, that wasn't it. Nope, nope, nope. Cold Feet, Frozen, yeah. Deathly Freeze Ray could be another one to use with her, because that one does cause incapacitation. And I went against a level 300 in PvP today, but more on that later. Son of a bitch. That was using a Deathly Freeze Ray, and my team basically was on vacation as they got raffle stomped the whole way through. So, yeah, that was unfun. Here, of course, we have Webbed, which also causes Constricted. We know that from Spider-Man, but unfortunately, she doesn't have, like, an exploit constriction or something. That would be really nice if she did. If she could exploit Constricted, God, that would be so beautiful. But, let's take her out on the range with Blackbolt, and you can see a really, really nice team up with her and see how hardy this woman is. Well, unfortunately, I'm on this map over here. Yeah, okay, we'll go with this one. So here's Blackbolt. Here's Medusa. My agent, I have taken off his Blade of the Guardian, the Bog, and I'm running the Combat Communicator, the Evasive Helmet, the Cube, and the Beyond Corp Driver, so I'm not going to be tanking. Let's watch her in action, and let's see how hardy she is, especially when ambient particles. There's her passive. Lame, I missed because I'm bleeding. Okay, so I'm going to take off fast messages here, and we are going to pop the next person who acts, which is going to be this guy, but the other behemoth will jump in. So I'm going to go for this guy, and now watch what happens. That's her passive. Now she's intercepting. She's taken 2 hits, she's dodged 1, and she's down minimal amounts of damage over here. Minimal amounts of hit points. And, you know, let's just make them hit each other. Alright, so why Blackbolt? Well, there's an incapacitation there on all enemies. Beautiful, isn't it? Bonk. Alright, so now let's go set up tanking on somebody else. Look at that. minimal damage, and now ambient particles are taking her out, and she retaliates. Well, we want to purge that incapacitation. And we want to do a little bit of damage over here. So, let's go for... Alright, so he gets 2 turns, so I'm going to shut down the counterattacks. And everybody hold your ears, because here comes Alanis Morissette from Dogma. I warned you. Alright, let's get her going again. So who are we going to go for? Let's just go ahead and kill, well, tank that behemoth. Bonus damage because of the incapacitation. Dodged 10 stacks of particles. So if you notice, she's taken most of the damage, and she's only lost that amount. She's only been healed by a light fantastic. Yeah, I have the long messages on so you can see everything she does. I apologize that something like this takes a while. And let's go ahead and end this. So again, everybody turn your speakers down. Here comes Alanis Morissette again. There's her incapacitation. $133 damage. And she only had 2 stacks of particles at that point. So that's not really Blackbolt that's helping her. That's pretty much her own reductions. So there you go. There is Medusa in action with one of her primary teams. Honestly, I think a solid one, because she really sets up Blackbolt. Okay, now she took a little bit of damage there. Somebody finally got through. So I think another one with her that could be really good. I still say She-Hulk is going to be Blackbolt's better because his incapacitation's AoE. You know, let's just bang away on one of these guys. Let's end this. See? Weak damage. Yes, her ambient particles is rolling now. And now she's tanking. Now she's back up to a full 10 stacks. Alright, that hurt a little bit. That hurt. And let's just punch this guy. So could this be Could this be the lady who pulls Blackbolt out of retirement? Suddenly makes him worth it. Could be. And before we end, let's take a quick look at the other It Ain't Easy Being a Green lady, and that is the revamped Gomorrah. So they have moved some things around on her. The Moralizing Shout has moved up a little bit. It's now her level 2. So Moral Strike still causes doom, but now causes 3 rounds of bleeding. Demoralizing Shout has moved up. It's finally subtle. Thank you. Good God. Cower on everybody, 20% chance. Despair on everybody. Doom on everybody, 50% chance. Whirlwind, mangle, and causes doom to proc immediately. And execute, stealthy, fatal blow. This, however, is not stealthy, but this is subtle. And so she finally gets a nice bit of a boon over here. And of course the prediction, she's next for the movie alt. Now that she gets to deal and bleed, she finally has some passives with Drax, and if you play the Guardians of the Galaxy Hidden Weapon Ultimate Weapon thing on Android, Drax and her do have some team up capabilities. So yeah, finally some bleeds over there. And I think she has definitely gotten more PvP worthy. Whether or not she's good on defense, we don't know. But at least on offense now, she could really get it done. And I did fight a generalist Rocket Raccoon today. I haven't purchased his ult yet simply because he's waiting to train for 14. And I'm going to leave him as a blaster anyway. So I'm just holding off on this, but I've unlocked it so I can get it at any point in time. So, hope you enjoyed this look at Medusa, enjoyed the discussion on some of her team-ups, including her husband and unfortunate deploy monkey since his Spec Ops, even though he's really good, Blackbolt. So, take care everybody, and stay tuned here on G4G when we wrap up this PvP Season Alpha. Maybe over the weekend we get to see Medusa with some higher levels and maybe take a look at some more of her team-ups. Take care, everybody.